Hi, and welcome to the Mental Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Mona, your mental gym buddy, and today I'm talking to Jessica Rylee. She's a certified breathwork facilitator, and we talk about all things breathwork related. There are some immense mental benefits to practicing breathwork, so you're going to discover all of that in this episode, plus get some super actionable tips from her on how you can start your journey.
You are now entering your mental gym. Take one deep breath, stretch your body, and let's get going.
Jessica, it's a pleasure to have you on today's episode. And I think the very first question I would just like to ask you is, who are you?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Jessica Rylee. I am a certified breathwork facilitator and founder of the Breathwork brand. And I'm from a small town in BC, Canada. I've been practicing breathwork for about 3 years on my own. And just from the experiences that I've experienced, it's driven me to have such a passion to share this work with as many people as I can. So I'm really grateful to be here. So thank you.
Amazing. Can I just ask what it means to be a certified breathwork worker or facilitator, I guess?
Yeah. So my job as a facilitator is to help people learn how to heal themselves using the power of their breath. So I facilitate them to practicing breath work, using their breath for an intention, whether that's for stress release, anxiety release, anger release, grief release, motivation, cultivating inner awareness, like whatever your intention is, your breath has that power. And so my job as a facilitator is to really help you move through that power and recognize that power and use that power in order to overcome whatever it is that you're trying to overcome. And so like going back a little bit, like when I first started breathwork about 3 years ago, I so much inside of me shifted, and it was like a 15-minute breathwork activation. And from there, I kind of was like, okay, I need to know why this is working, or like why this is a thing, what is happening in my body, and like how this is happening, which then eventually like led me to becoming basically I went down a rabbit hole of like what is breathwork, and it led me to becoming certified in breathwork. And so now I lead people both in person and online through breathwork journeys so that they can access those parts of themselves and really experience the power of themselves. Like it's hard to talk about like each experience because everybody's experience is so different, but basically long story short, that is what that is.
Oh, amazing. There's already so much in there that I kind of want to unpack. And I think that's really kind of the beauty of this podcast that I also want to do. I really want to kind of find ways to care for your mind, to think and feel better. And breathwork is such a good tool set to just have that you can work and like really implement for yourself. And I've kind of gotten more and more interested over the last year. And I think what's also to realize is that there are so many different kinds of breath work. So I think, do you kind of want to explore a little bit about maybe just what kind of breath work you typically do, or like how do you actually work with the people when they come to you and are like, okay, I'm interested?
Yeah. So there's two different types of breath work that I lead. I lead down regulating, which activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's rest and digest. It's where, like, when you're feeling really calm, really relaxed, you're in a parasympathetic state. And I also lead what's called upregulating breath work, which activates your sympathetic nervous system, which is your body's fight or flight response. And so that's when you're feeling like stressed or anxious, or you're feeling like you just did a workout. That would be a sympathetic response because your body is like alert, it's ready to go, you're very alert. And so a type of down regulating breath work would just be like a simple box breath, like you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and you hold for 4. And then the type of sympathetic breath work that I do is called conscious connected breath work, or I also do a 3-part breath work. And that's where you're actually breathing in and out through your mouth, which is a different way of breathing than in and out through your nose. So it's kind of like jumping all over the place, but nasal breathing really activates that parasympathetic nervous system, whereas mouth breathing activates that sympathetic nervous system. And so the reason that I lead the upregulating breathwork is to help people get to the root cause of anxiety, stress, grief, like whatever it is, and help people journey into their subconscious so that they can bring out these things and feel feelings that they need to feel, go back to memories that maybe have been suppressed or forgotten about that are causing these anxiety or these anxious patterns in life, business, relationships. So the upregulating is definitely like my absolute favorite type. And then after that, we usually use like a down regulating breath work to kind of just tie it back in and come back home to yourself is what I say. But bring that energy back down into your heart space is what we do. So yeah, there's so many different types of breath work for different types of like outcomes that you want to do, which I think is like the best thing about breath work is that it's not just one size fits all. It's whatever you're kind of like leaning towards. Oh, there's a breathwork practice for that, right? So it's really interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's funny how, like, I mean, you're born breathing. Like, basically, that's your sign of life that you breathe. But it's like you don't. I only discovered that more recently that there's so much power behind it. And when you talk about like parasympathetic, sympathetic, there's so much science behind that too. It's not just like a woo-woo thing like, oh, pay attention to your breath. It's like it can be extremely, extremely impactful. And I think it's just, I really recommend people to just try it out and see how it goes.
And I think too, like exactly what you said, like you're born breathing. Like your life begins with a breath and your life ends with your last breath. And so it's like the power, like your breath has so much power, but what are we doing between life and death? How are we using that breath, right? So breath work actually has been around for like over 5,000 years, and it traces back to like ancient India. But it's like we as people, we forget about the power of the breath because we're always so stuck in the chaos of life and stress and, you know, like it is what it is kind of mentality that we forget that we have that ability to just like take a breath, you know? And it's like you hear people all the time saying like, oh, I'm so stressed. Oh, just take a breath, you know? So it's interesting how forgotten it has become.
Yeah, no, I love all of that. It's like very powerful. And it's so if you're kind of somebody, or what would you tell a friend that's kind of like hears about, oh, okay, it can help me with all of these mental benefits. How would you recommend somebody actually approach it as a complete newcomer to breathwork?
I would say, like, one, find somebody who is a certified breathwork practitioner if you want to do one of the upregulating breathworks. But if you want to just start breathwork like on a day-to-day basis, say you're struggling with anxiety or you're struggling with stress or, you know, mental chatter, or overwhelm, whatever. If you're struggling with one of those, just start by simply becoming aware of your breathing. Are you breathing in and out through your nose? Are you breathing in and out through your mouth? If you're breathing in and out through your nose, you are in a parasympathetic state. If you're breathing in and out through your mouth, you're in a sympathetic state. So if you think about like babies when they're born, they breathe in and out through their nose. But what happens when a baby's crying? Breathes in and out through their mouth and into the chest, right? Same thing when we have like panic attacks, breathes in and out through the mouth and into our chest. So just simply notice your breathing throughout the day. And the more that you can breathe in and out through your nose, it's actually been proven to reduce your like mental stress, reduce your improve like respiratory function, improve cardiovascular health. Like there's so much science behind it, nasal breathing. So that's probably like start doing that basically, if that's what you want to do, is incorporate breath work, is just start nasal breathing.
I had no idea that with just because I was going to ask you what the difference between like nose and mouth breathing is, but just like that reference to like what you do as a baby is already like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And if you can just check in throughout the day to see like, oh, yeah, how are you breathing? And you can feel it through your nose or through your mouth, like just starting from there. And then I guess, there is tools online that people can check out. I feel like it's gotten so popular with like the Wim Hof and like the Huberman, and
Mm-hmm.
that's been like a huge influence, at least for me. That's where I was like, oh, okay, like got me
Yeah.
intrigued. And yeah.
That's another one too. If you want to do like an in between, because I started off with Wim Hof as well. And that's like what got me started. Like that was like the 11-minute, 15-minute breathwork activation that I did. So that one's a really good like beginner one. It's basically, it is the conscious connected breathing. So it's in and out through your mouth, and you're breathing into your belly, into your chest, and then releasing. But what it does is it actually like restructures like the stress responses in your body. So the more that you practice breath work, the less stressed you will become. And the more that you practice breath work too, the more like automatic your like calm response will kick in when you go through stressful situations, which is so
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
that's
It's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, so good. Can I ask how your practice? So you said you started kind of off with a Wim Hof, and then you kind of went down a rabbit hole. What
Yeah.
did that rabbit hole kind of look like for you, and what were your experiences along the way, or your aha
Yeah.
moments?
Yeah, so I had like a couple of really huge aha moments. Basically just like the Wim Hof was the biggest one for me, where I felt so much shift in me. I got the full body tingles. I was like, what is this feeling? I don't understand it. I don't understand how this felt like better than a counseling session. You know what I mean? Like just me
Mm-hmm.
breathing. I don't understand the power of it. And so like the rabbit hole kind of looked like I was researching a lot. I was, going into different people who offer breath work. I was signing up for the free breathwork classes, which then eventually led me to finding the breathwork certification that I took, which was a 4-month program. And through there, I was really introduced to like my power. I did breathwork every single Sunday with that certification. And that was like the upregulating the 60 to 75-minute breathwork journeys.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it really helped me with my anxiety. I'm somebody who's always struggled with anxiety and like sense of identity. Like I've always grown up with like, who am I? I don't know who to be. And actually, like as of tomorrow, I'm 1 year, 1 month, and 11 days. So 1 1 1 1 off of the anxiety medication that I was on for 14 years prior. And breathwork
Amazing.
has been like the thing that like helped me get through that, because I've tried to come off of this anxiety medication like 6 or 7 times with absolutely no success. And since starting breathwork and really kind of like not only just learning how to breathe, but learning about my triggers, learning about my stresses, and like bringing up things that I've been holding on to for years and being able to release those through the breath, that's been like the biggest thing that has helped me
Yeah.
with that healing journey. So it's been like quite significant in my life, definitely a life-changing thing. And yeah, I just, anybody who's like wanting to try it or curious about it, I would say just try it.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
Thank you.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think for me, it's definitely been a journey of it. Like, I'm a big overthinker. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's been good to just get tools for like in those moments when I can just feel my brain going crazy. It's like, okay, no, let's come back and do like a breathwork exercise. Even like I have
Mm-hmm.
like Insight Timer, or like whatever tool people can find that works for them,
Yeah.
is so powerful. So I think
Yeah.
that's where,
And
yeah.
something with that too, like with your mental chatter. So breathwork has the ability, after about 10 minutes of breathing in the upregulated way, so in through your mouth into your chest, your prefrontal cortex, which is where all of your mental chatter, all of your, like it's called like the monkey mind. It's where your
Mm,
to-do list is when you're trying to meditate. That actually gets like temporarily shut off because the blood flow to that area of the brain is like temporarily slowed down because of like using the breath. So that's why breath work is a lot easier for some people to drop into than meditation, because meditation, it takes you a lot longer to get there, versus breath work, it shuts it off in 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, it's like you're in this flow and you can like journey into that. So it's so
no
cool.
way.
Like there's so much science behind it. Yeah.
Oh my, okay, that makes so much sense, because that's
Yeah.
exactly what I've been feeling. But now knowing that like there is like the medical background and like the physical
Mm-hmm.
response is for sure a thing. And I think that's also, so I did like your little drop-in session for a breathwork last week, and that was
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes. And I think it is incredible how much you feel it in your body,
Yeah.
how like different the reactions can be, not just like, yeah, the prefrontal cortex, I guess, is one, but then
Mm-hmm.
also you said like with the fingers tingling and stuff happens, you can feel your heart even like go faster. And I think just
Yeah.
realizing that is wild.
Yeah, right? And you can like feel the energy moving. So like
Yeah.
tingling happens on a like physical side because of like the fluctuation of the gases in the body, right? Like the carbon dioxide and the oxygen, and that's why we
Mm-hmm.
tingle. On an energetic level, it's literally energy moving throughout your body. So stagnant or stuck energy that has been laying dormant for so many years, that's now being like broken up and moved around. And so
Yeah.
usually like at the very end or in the beginning of a breath or middle or the end of a breathwork session, we do a cathartic release. So either a sigh, a yell, a shake, and that literally like releases that energy that you've been feeling in your body that's tingling. So it's, yeah, I could talk forever about this. Like
Yeah.
it's just like the
Same.
coolest thing.
It's amazing. Yeah. And I think something for people to just realize, there are like, you just talked about like hour-long sessions or 90 minutes, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can start with also just 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah,
And I think that's
absolutely.
what's going to be exciting for our listeners. We're going to have like a special bonus episode from you, just a little sampler, so people can actually, right after this episode, they can go and try it out, which is so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the time differences is incredible, because you can do 2 minutes, you can do 20 minutes, and you can do
Yeah.
hour long, I guess. I gotta say, I haven't done hour longs yet. I'm kind of intimidated by that step, but I'm sure like there's
Yeah.
even more to discover for sure.
There is so much more to discover. And yeah, like start off small, right? Start off with 1 minute a day. Even if that's
Yeah.
just like I was talking about the box breath earlier, like inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding for 4. Do that for like a minute and you'll everything will switch. Like it's so crazy. And then as you get more into breath work, like I just did my first like hour long, like true hour. It was like an hour and a half. So that was like my longest one. I just did that like a couple of months ago.
Mm.
So I started off with like the 40-minute breathworks and then the 50-minute and then the 60-minute. And so I led up to that, right?
Yeah.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling like intimidated by it, I would look inside and say, where am I not feeling safe in my body?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
2, right? Like, because
Yeah.
that was a huge thing for me. Like when I first started, I didn't want to do a long breath work. 1, because my ego was showing up saying like, this is going to be hard. I'm not going to be able to do it. But when you're in that, after the 10 minutes, your brain shuts off anyways, so that you're just in it. And you don't even notice the time, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
hour and a half long one that I did, I went so deep into it that I didn't even realize that it was like an hour long. And then he's like, okay, we're done. I'm like, what? Like, I want more.
No way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think breath work is like a super good tool to just get started as well. And I think because that's how people start off meditating too. And meditating
Mhm.
has been extremely hard for me. Like I haven't found a practice yet that I can just do every day. But breath work has really been something like, yeah, you can do it for 1 minute in the morning and then start building a habit out of that. So I
Mhm.
think like the habit stacking is definitely good. And then, as you say,
Yeah.
you mature, you get more comfortable with it. You
Yeah.
discover some things about yourself. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
very true.
It is
Yeah.
very true. Yeah. And like that's what breathwork also helps with too. Like, especially for me, like I did not feel safe in my body for the longest time. And breathwork really helped me. Like as I'm like breathing and you're doing the upregulating breathwork, which only should be done like once a week for like experienced breathworkers, but like once every 2 weeks or even once a month is completely fine. Like you need that time in between to integrate, right? But
Yeah.
even with like the upregulating, you're activating that fight or flight response, the sympathetic nervous system. And so you're going to feel a little bit of stress, but it's safe stress. And it took
Mm.
me a while to realize that, especially when I was coming off my anxiety medication, feeling so anxious all the time. I would get really anxious in those breath works, and I would say nope, and I would go back to my nasal breathing, because that's like the breathwork emergency brake, like like if you want to like mellow it out. And it wasn't until like I started doing it like really consistently that I was able to drop in. And the first time that I ever dropped in, I was like, this is so good. Like I felt so good. And it was just crazy, like how much has changed in my own self from that moment until now.
It's been a journey for sure.
Yeah.
And I would love somebody to kickstart their journey today with like the little bonus sample that we're going to give people. But I think, just speaking for myself, I definitely find it very powerful and an incredible tool for mental fitness. I feel like we could talk for hours and hours, but just in the sake of interest, I just kind of wanted to wrap it up. And thank you so much for like the practical insights too. So definitely people try out the box breathing. I think that's definitely a very, very good one. But how can people find you too?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called the Om Breathwork Community. You can also find me on Facebook, my personal Facebook at the Jessica Rylee, and then also on Instagram at It's Jessica Rylee. I'm also I have a website, www.thejessicarylee.com, so you can find me there and more about breathwork. I have a blog there. And I'm excited to help you start your journey if that's where you want to go.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely link all of the links below in the show notes, so it's just people have it easy that they can find you. But I feel like we're just scratching the surface with this episode right now, but I just wanted to introduce kind of the tool of breathwork, and I think we've definitely given like a very good overview over that.
For sure. For sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. And if you enjoyed that and want to share the advice with a friend, please go ahead and share the episode. Also, please rate the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. It would really help with kind of the search algorithm for this show. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.